Good day, nurses, and now let's proceed to our discussions regarding the community health education. Our objective is to describe the goals of the health educations within the community setting, examine the nurse role in the community educations within the socio-political and cultural context, select the learning theory and describe its applications to the individual, family, or aggregates. Examine the innovative and effective teaching and learning strategies that exemplify to the community-centered health education for individual, family, and aggregates, and compare and contrast the FAIR's approach to the health educations with an individualistic health educations. Examine also the importance of community engagement for affecting the health disparities. Outline a systemic process for developing culturally and literacy relevant health education materials, media, and programs. And also, one of our objectives is to relate and apply factors that enhance the suitability of the health education's materials, messages, media, and programs for unintended audience. And lastly, prepare a meaningful teaching plan and evaluation criteria for the individual, family, or group. Okay, health educations in the community. Health teaching is considered one of the most fundamental principles of nursing, emphasizing that every nurse, regardless of role of, or setting, has a responsibility to educate patients, families, and communities. As Gardner stated, a nurse in even the most obscure position must be a teacher of no mean order. That is highlighting the teaching is not an optional task, but an integral part of nursing practice, empowering individuals to make informed decisions about their health and well-being. Another one, health education is any combinations of learning experiences designed to predispose, enable, and reinforce voluntary behavior that promote health and well-being. It is directed toward individuals, groups, and communities. That is empowering them with knowledge, skills, and motivations to make healthier choices and adopt positive lifestyle practices. The goal of health education focus on empowering individuals and communities to live healthier lives. It seeks to translate health knowledge into meaningful interventions that enhance the health, prevent the disease, and support the management of chronic illnesses. By doing so, health educations aim to promote wellness, decrease disability, and improve quality of life. It also strives to help individuals, families, and communities reach their full health potential while recognizing that health is influenced by social and political environments. Furthermore, health educations emphasize the importance of valuing the strength and contributions of the community member, encouraging their active participations in shaping and sustaining improved health and well-being. The continuing goals of health educations include also sustaining both cognitive and behavioral changes by actively engaging learners as partner in managing their own health behavior. For example, encouraging a young people that is aged 11 to 19 to openly discuss sexual health can help normalize conversations, increase awareness, and promote responsible decision making. Health education also works to make important topics more visible within communities and to address the complex challenges that arise in designing and delivering healthcare services that are accessible, acceptable, and responsive to the needs of diverse populations. Learning theories, principles, and health education model. So learning theories are valuable in nursing and health educations because they provide frameworks for understanding how people absorb, process, and retain information. So they help nurses recognize that learning is not simply about giving informations, but also creating conditions where individuals, families, and groups can develop knowledge, skills, and attitude that truly influence their lives. So learning is considered an enduring change, meaning it has lasting effects rather than being a temporary shift. So this process involves motivation in several key areas. Insight as learning gain, a deeper understanding of health issues, and recognize connections between their actions and outcomes. And then the behavior as knowledge translate into the healthier practices and lifestyle changes. And perceptions as attitude toward health, illness, and care evolve, shaping how people view themselves and their environment. And last one, the motivations as learners become more empowered and driven to take control of their health. So by applying these learning theories, nurses can tailor teaching strategies to the learner's readiness, cultural background, and personal needs, ensuring that educations leads to meaningful long-term improvements in health. Okay. There are learning theories. Humanistic theory emphasizes personal growth and self-directions. It views learning as a way of individual to develop their potentials in a holistic manner. So addressing not just knowledge but also emotions, values, and self-awareness. So in nursing, this approach is useful when encouraging patients to take ownership of their health decisions, set personal goals, and engage in behaviors that promote overall well-being. Cognitive theory focuses on the brain's ability to think, feel, learn, and solve problems. So it highlights how people process, store, and retrieve informations with the goal of training the brain to maximize these functions. Nurses apply this theory when they use teaching strategies like repetition, problem-solving exercises, or visual aids to help patients understand the complex health information such as medication instructions or lifestyle changes. And social learning theory explains that people learn not only from personal experiences but also by observing others. So it highlights the role of self-efficacy, that is belief in one's ability to succeed, and outcome expectation, that is belief that certain behavior will produce desired result, and incentives, that is rewards that reinforce the behavior. So in nursing practice, this might be seen when patients are motivated to adopt healthy behavior after watching fear successfully manage conditions like diabetes or hypertension, especially when our nurses provide positive reinforcement and role modeling. Okay. Adult learns best in a facilitative, non-restrictive, and flexible environment where their individuality and prior experiences are valued. So, several characteristics influence how they learn. First, adults have a need to know, meaning they want to understand the purpose and relevance of what they are learning. They also have the strong concept of self as independent and self-directed learner who prepare to take responsibility for their own learning. So their experiences serve as a rich resources that shape how they absorb and apply new information. So in addition, uh, adults show greater readiness to learn when the content is relevant to their current life roles or challenges, and they are more problem-centered in their orientation to learning, seeking practical knowledge they can immediately use. So finally, motivations plays a key role with internal drives such as personal growth, improved health, or quality of life, often being stronger than external reward. Okay. Health education models, in addition to learning theories, provide a practical way to apply educational principles to real-life situations involving our individuals, families, and groups. So they can illustrate how its ideas fit together and offer structured explanations for health behavior or actions, making it easier to understand why people make certain health choices. So these models are especially valuable in guiding nurses as they plan and implement health programs, since they help direct community nursing interventions toward approaches that are more effective and responsive to the needs of the population. So, as Padilla and Volkavage emphasize, models serve as a useful framework that connects theory to practice in their health educations. Health belief model explain why individuals choose engage or not engage in health behavior by focusing on their personal beliefs and perceptions. It suggests that people are more likely to take actions if they believe they are susceptible to the disease, view the condition as having serious severity, and recognize the benefits of preventive or treatment behavior. At the same time, they weigh these benefits against the barriers that might prevent them from acting, such as cost, fear, or inconvenience. So, the model also emphasized the importance of self-efficacy or confidence in one's ability to carry out the behavior successfully. In addition, personal factors such as demographics like the age, gender, education, and socioeconomic status, and the cues to actions like health campaigns, reminders from healthcare providers, or the onset of the symptoms can strongly influence decisions. So by addressing these factors, nurses and health educators can design interventions that encourage individuals, families, and communities to adopt healthier practices. Health promotion models seek to explain why individuals choose to engage in behaviors that enhance health and well-being. So it emphasizes that a person's actions are shaped by their individual's characteristics and experiences, such as past behavior or personal factors, which influence how they approach new behaviors or new health behaviors. So the model also highlights behavior-specific cognitions and affect, including perceived benefits, perceived barriers, self-efficacy, and the influence of interpersonal and situational factors that affect the motivations. So ultimately, these elements guide behavioral outcomes where individuals commit to and adopt health-promoting behavior that improve their quality of life and overall wellness. Okay. Banwick emphasized that in communities' health, the nurse's role is not simply give power or control to the individuals and communities, but rather to guide and support them as they claim ownership of their health. So, true empowerment comes from within the individuals and community as they actively participate in decision making and take responsibility for their well-being. So the nurse acts as a facilitator in the dynamic process, providing the knowledge, resources, and encouragement while respecting the community's autonomy and strength. So this approach fosters sustainable health improvements by ensuring that change is community-driven rather than imposed. This process highlights the importance of looking beyond individuals' health behavior and examining the broader social determinants of health that influence well-being. Factors such as education, health literacy, gender, racism, social justice, and social class all play critical roles in shaping access to care, opportunities for healthy living, and health outcomes. So, by recognizing these influences, nurses and health professionals can better understand the barriers faced by socially and politically disenfranchised group. So more importantly, this perspective underscored the need for structural and foundational changes such as policy reform, equitable resources distributions, and advocacy to create the lasting improvements in health and reduce disparities with the vulnerable populations. The Brazilian educator Paulo Freire emphasized the importance of empowerment through education, particularly among the poor and the oppressed, as a means to promote literacy and social change. So he advocated for a problem-solving approach to educations where learners actively engage in dialogue, think critically, and participate in shaping their own learning. So this method contrasts with the prayer called banking education approach, in which learners are treated as passive recipients of informations, simply storing knowledge given by the teacher. Instead, Prayer's models views education as collaborative and liberating process that equips the individuals to challenge oppressions and transform their communities. Also involves individual as a subject, not an object. This approach is Health education emphasizes active participations and ongoing dialogue, where learners are encouraged to be critical and reflective about health issues that affect their lives. So it relies on participatory group processes, allowing individuals to learn from one another and collectively explore solutions. So the method also requires activism from the educator, who takes on the role of facilitator and resource person rather than authority figure. So working as an equal partners alongside group members. So by fostering collaborations and shared responsibilities, this approach helps build sustainable, lateral relationship that empower communities and support long-term health and social change. The goal of participatory action research is to bring about social change by actively involving communities in the research process. So it embraces a community-based participatory method, ensuring that the voice of those most affected are central to identifying the problems and creating the solutions. So by fostering participation and actions from stakeholders and combining with shared knowledge about local conditions and issues, participatory action research facilitate the development of the strategies that are collectively designed, owned, and implemented. So this collaborative approach not only generates knowledge but also empower our communities to take actions and sustains the meaningful change. So in this approach, community members take greater power to create change, recognizing that lasting improvements in health come from within the community itself. So it builds on community cultural strength and assets, valuing traditions, relationship, and resources that already exist. So by doing so, the community becomes both an engine of health promotions and a vehicle for empowerment, driving initiatives that are more relevant, sustainable, and meaningful to the people they are serving. So, health education activities that responds to McKinley's call to study upstream focus on addressing the underlying causes of health inequalities rather than only treating their effect. So, this involves looking at the broader social, cultural, and structural factors that shape health outcomes. So, by using multi-level education and research, nurses can draw on critical perspective from disciplines such as education, anthropology, and public health. So this perspective help uncover how the issues like poverty, culture, environment, and policy contribute to the disparities, enabling nurses to design more comprehensive and equitable health interventions. The role of nurses in health education goes beyond simply providing information. So it involves partnering with individuals and communities to improve the health outcomes. So nurses act as a catalyst for change, helping people recognizing the health challenges and opportunities while activating ideas that encourage positive actions. They provide appropriate interventions tailored to the needs of individuals or groups and identify resources that support their healthier choices. At the same time, nurses work to facilitate group empowerment, fostering collaborations and self-reliance so that the communities can take ownership of their health and sustain long-term improvements. Inclusion lays the foundations for meaningful health actions by creating a trusting relationship between the nurse and the individual or community. So the very first introductory oral exchange and interactions are very critical as they set to the tone of openness, respect, and collaboration. So to strengthen this connection, nurses must continuously enhance their knowledge and skills in cultural competence, ensuring that care they provide is respectful, relevant, and responsive to the diverse cultural values, beliefs, and practices of those they serve. So this approach foster mutual understanding and support more effective health educations and interventions. Culturally competent care requires nurses to demonstrate sensitivity to individuals by recognizing their unique experiences and responses to health and illnesses. As Melis described, this is the essence of health nurses. where care is guided by explanatory system that values diversity and respect differences in culture, beliefs, and practices. So nurses must use expert assessment skills to design and deliver educational interventions that are appropriate and effective for diverse populations. So equally important is being aware of the diversity of communication patterns, including how language, tone, and nonverbal cues affect interaction. Since communication strongly influences the trust in the relationship, nurses must adapt their approach to ensure inclusivity, respect, and mutual understanding in every health education's encounter. The NCI, or the National Cancer Institute, there is a framework designed to guide the creation of effective health educations, messages, and programs. So it follows four stages process that is illustrated as a circular loop, emphasizing that health education is ongoing rather than linear. So each stage provides opportunity for continuous assessment, feedback, and improvement. So ensuring that programs remain relevant, effective, and responsive to the needs of individuals and community. So this cyclical approach allows health educators and nurses to refine the strategies, strengthen communications, and adapt intervention for the greater impact over time. So, stage one, planning and strategy selection forms the foundations of communication program processes within the framework. At this stage, health educators and nurses identify the target audience, assess their needs, and determine the most effective goals and strategies. And careful planning ensures that messages are relevant, culturally appropriate, and meaningful to those they are intended to reach. By setting these strong foundations, the stage creates the condition for developing salient communications that resonate with individuals and communities. So ultimately increasing the likelihood of the positive health outcomes. In the stage 2, that is developing and pre-testing concept, messages, and materials, focuses on creating health educations content that truly connects with the target audience. So at this stage, educator and nurses select the most appropriate communication channels, such as prints, digital media, community outreach, or interpersonal communications based on the audience preferences and accessibility. So then they design and pretest the messages and materials to ensure they are clear, culturally appropriate, and engaging. So this process helps refine the content before full implementation, increasing the chance of producing effective and relevant materials that resonate with the audience and supports behavior change. In stage 3, that is implementing the programs, involves putting the planned health education strategies into actions by introducing the message and programs to the intended audience through the chosen communication channel. So during this stage, it is important to monitor how the program is received, gather feedback, and observe participation and engagement level. So based on this output, educators and nurses can review and revise component as necessary, making adjustment to ensure the program remains effective, relevant, and responsive to the audience needs. So this stage is where planning becomes practice and real impact begins to take shape. And last one, the stage 4, the assessing the effectiveness and making refinements, is the evaluation phase of the framework, where the focus is measuring the outcomes of the health education program. So at this stage, educators and nurses determine whether the interventions lead to desired changes in knowledge, attitude, or behavior within the target audience. So data gathered from assessment and feedback help identify the strengths, weaknesses, and areas needing improvement. So based on this finding, the program can be refined and adjusted to enhance its impact. So ensuring it continues to meet the needs of the audience and remains effective over time. Health education resources. So health education resources include wide range of educational materials, media, and tools that support the delivery of effective health program. So these resources are made available through local, state, and national organizations or agencies providing the nurses and educator with reliable information to share with individuals, families, and communities. So they may include brochure, posters, videos, website, toolkits, and interactive platforms that are designed to raise awareness, build knowledge, and promote healthy behavior. So accessing these resources ensures that health education is the accurate, up-to-date, and tailored to the need of the diverse population. Health literacy. The National Literacy Act of 1991 defined literacy in practical terms as the ability to read and write at the fifth grade reading level in any language, recognizing that literacy exists along a continuum rather than as a fixed skills. So these definitions align closely with the concept of health literacy found in Healthy People in 2020, which describes that the capacity to obtain, interpret, and understand basic health information and services, and the competence to use such as information and services to enhance health. So together, so this definition highlights that literacy is not only about reading and writing, but also about having the functional skills needed to make informed decisions and effectively manage one's health. A serious gap exists in health education when the reading level of materials does not match the patient literacy skills. So many health resources are written well above the average reading ability of the intended audience, making them difficult to understand and apply. So in addition, these materials often overlook cultural belief, values, languages, and attitudes, which are essential for relevance and acceptance. So as a result, individuals with low literacy face barrier in understanding the health informations, limiting their ability to follow medical instruction and access services effectively, and achieve positive health outcomes. So this mismatch contributes to the health disparities and prevents many from receiving the full benefits of healthcare. Health literacy also increases the ability of community members to successfully manage their everyday situations by equipping them with the skills and confidence to make informed decisions. So it is fundamentally about empowerment, ensuring that individuals have access to accurate informations, practical knowledge, and useful innovations that can improve their health and quality of life. So as societies advance, health literacy has become increasingly important not only for social and economic development but also for promoting overall health equity. So it is recognized as a key public health issue because it is directly impacts the delivery of safe, effective, and person-centered care. The three levels of intervention and health literacy provides both individual and population benefits by addressing different capacities for understanding and applying health informations. So functional or basic literacy focuses on the essential skills of reading and writing, enabling individuals to understand simple health materials such as prescription, instructions, and appointment reminders. Communicative or interactive literacy goes a step further by helping individuals actively engage in conversation with health professionals, ask questions, and apply the informations to their daily lives for better decision making. And finally, critical literacy empowers individuals and communities to analyze, evaluate, and challenge health informations, policies, and social determinants of health, allowing them to take collective actions toward improving health outcomes and reducing inequalities. Together, these three levels is strengthening the both personal health management and community health promotions. The National Academy of Medicine, or formerly Institute of Medicine, 2004 report that health literacy is a prescription to end confusion highlights the serious impact of low health literacy in the United States. So it emphasizes that millions of adults lack the ability to read, understand, and act of health instructions and messages. So creating significant barriers to effective health care. So individuals with very low literacy skills face greater risk for poor health outcomes as they may struggle to follow medication directions, understanding the consent form, or navigating the health system. So this contributes directly to the health disparities as those with limited literacy are more vulnerable to chronic illness, mismanagement of disease, and reduce the access to preventive care. So the report underscored the urgent need for health education strategies and health system reforms that address literacy gaps to promote equity in the health outcomes. Uh, According to Pache, Orlo, and Wolf, proposed a conceptual causal model that explained how limited health literacy influences health outcomes by focusing on these three critical aspects of care. First, access and utilization of healthcare can be compromised when individuals struggle to navigate the health system, complete forms, or understand instructions. That is often to leading to delayed or inappropriate care. Second, patient-provider relationship are affected, as communication barriers may reduce trust, hinder shared decision-making, and prevent patient from fully understanding diagnosis or treatment plans. Third, self-care is impacted because patients with limited health literacy may have difficulty following medication regimens, adhering to lifestyle recommendation, or recognizing warning signs of illness. So together, this factor highlights how health literacy plays a central role in shaping health behavior, care experiences, and ultimately health outcomes. Okay, helpful tips for effective teaching. So effective teaching begins with an assessment of the client's reading skills to ensure that materials and structure are appropriate to their literacy level. So it is equally important to determine what the client need to know and to identify motivating factors that will encourage learning and behavior change. Teachers should stick with essential, focusing on the key concept rather than overwhelming learners with unnecessary details. Setting realistic goals and objectives help maintain focus and make learning more achievable. Using clear and concise language minimize confusions, while developing a glossary of common words support understanding. Teaching should be spaced out over time to reinforce retentions, and messages Teaching should be spaced out over time to reinforce retention, and message should be personalized to connect with the learner's context and needs. Incorporating illustrations, demonstrations, and real-life examples make lessons more practical and engaging. Finally, effective teaching involves two-way process. Educator must both give information and receive feedback to ensure that learners truly understand and can apply what they have learned. To ensure learning is effective also, it is important to summarize often, reinforcing key points throughout the teaching process. Educators should also be creative, using engaging strategies, appropriate resources, and materials that suit learners' needs and preferences. Offering praise and encouragement builds confidence and motivates patients to continue learning, allowing time to questions, ensure clarification, and promotes active participations. So the take-back method, where patients repeat instructions in their own words, is a powerful tool to confirm understanding. So teachers should remember that comprehensions and mastery take time and practice, requiring patience and repetitions. Additionally, conducting learners' verifications help determine whether the teaching method and materials are effective for the intended audience. Finally, evaluating the overall teaching plan ensures that goals and objectives are met and guides future improvements in the teaching process. When using health materials, including website, it is important to evaluate them carefully before sharing to ensure accuracy and relevance. So these materials should be designed to strengthen previous teaching, reinforcing the key points already discussed. They should also serve as an adjunct to help instructions, supporting but not replacing direct teaching and interaction. So most importantly, the materials must be appropriate for the intended audience, taking into action literacy levels, cultural background, and community needs so they can be effectively used in education's initiatives. To ensure that health education resources are accessible and easy to understand, it is essential to assess their readability. Tools such as MAG, Readability Formula, and Flash Kincaid formula can be used to estimate the reading levels required to comprehend a given text. The SMAG formula is often used in health education to determine if the materials meet recommended literacy levels, while the Flesch-Kincaid formula, available on most computers and word processing software, that provides a grade level score for written content. You can also search for readability statistic tools online to quickly check whether your materials are written at a level that is appropriate for your intended audience. Learners' verifications is a process that actively involves the intended audience in reviewing and discussing educational materials to ensure they are appropriate and effective. So by engaging learners in dialogue, this approach helps uncover any unsuitable aspect of the materials such as unclear language, cultural mismatch, or confusing visuals. So through this process, educators can confirm that the message is well suited to the audience, make it more understandable, relatable, and impactful. Social media refers to interactive, internet-based communication channels that allow users to share informations, connect, and engage in real time. Today, numerous platforms exist, including blogs, online discussion, microblogs like Twitter, video sharing sites such as YouTube. Okay, these platforms have become powerful tools for public health because they can reach diverse community members quickly and widely, spreading important health messages, promoting awareness, and encouraging community engagement in ways that our traditional methods may achieve as effectively. Social media in health education has potential to facilitate interactive communications, allowing individuals and communities to engage directly with health professionals and one another. So it also increases the sharing of health informations, making valuable resources and more accessible and widespread. So by using tailored content, social media can personalize and reinforce health messages, helping them resonate with a specific audience. So most importantly, it can empower community members to make informed health decisions by giving them the knowledge, tools, and support needed to take control of their own health and well-being. So that is our discussions in terms of health educations. Thank you for listening.